So thank you very much, members of the press corps of the National Assembly. My name is Asukwo Ekpeyong, Senator representing Cross River South. Last week, I happened on the most unfortunate piece of news. A young lady, could have been any one of our younger sisters, named Miss Greatness Olorunfemi, was attacked and pushed out of a moving vehicle, as the reports have it. A good Samaritan that was passing by saw her, picked her and took her to Maitama District Hospital. And when on their arrival there, they were denied entry, denied treatment, and denied care. Most unfortunately, Miss Greatness Olorunfemi bled to death and passed away right on the premises of the hospital. Since last week, I've known no peace about this most tragic event. On Tuesday, we brought it up on the floor of the National Assembly, on the floor of the Senate, as a matter of urgent public importance, and it was scheduled for presentation today, Thursday. We have called the attention of everyone that there is a law, an act of this parliament, the Compulsory Treatment of Victims of Gunshots and Other Emergencies 2017, which was passed into law, but most unfortunately has not been complied with over the years. My understanding is that Ms. Greatness Olorunfemi was denied medical care while at the premises of the hospital because the hospital was demanding for police report or clearance before treating her. This is a bane on our society and it has to stop. So today we presented a motion where the facts of this case were presented on the floor of the hallowed chamber of the Nigerian Senate, with a resolution to first observe a minute's silence for the tragic loss of the life of Ms. Greatness Olorunfemi, as well as other victims of such situations. Secondly, we summoned the Inspector General of Police, the Minister for Health, and under an amendment to the second prayer, we also requested for the FCDA, who, from our understanding, own the Maitama District Hospital, to appear before the Joint Committee on Health and Police Affairs to brief the committee, and for the committee to undertake an investigation, a detailed investigation, to ensure that those who are guilty of the loss of life of Ms. Greatness Olorunfemi are brought to book, and that such a tragic occurrence does not happen ever again. We mandated the Committees on Health and Police Affairs and Legislative Compliance to ensure compliance with this law. I have made my own decision that following this unfortunate event, that I'll be sponsoring an amendment to the bill to ask for stiffer penalties. Currently, the penalties to the 2017 Act calls for a fine of 50,000 naira. What is 50,000 naira compared to a human life? I will personally push for the amendment of this bill for stiffer penalties to ensure that there is no reoccurrence of such a tragic event. Finally, as a final prayer, the Senate also resolved that the Inspector General of Police and the Ministry of Health do adequate and detailed sensitization of the security formations as well as the hospitals to ensure that they understand and comply with the Act as passed in 2017. Thank you very much. I'll take your questions, Chief.
Question, please. My name is and I must want to start by commending what you have done, which I think is very, very noble. I absolutely don't have anything to take away from what you have done, but I'm concerned a little bit that we have focused, your motion has focused majorly on the gunshot victims. But what about what led to that scenario, the practice of or the evil of one chance that led to a situation that brought young greatness to that situation? Is there anything that you think should have been mentioned or done about the issue of one chance, which has become very prevalent in Abuja, of late?
Thank you very much. The first item after the announcements today, this morning, was on a matter of urgent public importance. It was presented by distinguished Senator Yaradua, and it had to do with insecurity in Nigeria. We took over an hour debating and came to resolution. So if you go back and watch, you will see that this morning we had spent a lot of time debating on the issues of insecurity and resolutions on what the Senate ought to do. Insecurity is the bane of every society, but I don't think there's any society as backward that would allow for people to have to present a police clearance before they are treated for gunshots or knife stabs. This act goes further to compel the hospital, the 2017 Act, to compel the hospital to treat even without the payment of a deposit. That is what a humane society does. That is what a humane society does. Any civil society does that. So you cannot be a provider of care and let a young lady bleed without knowing the circumstances. So my motion has stuck to the failure of the hospital administration to do its part. The issues of insecurity have been given the adequate attention earlier this morning through another motion. Thank you very much.
I just want to find out, looking at the previous situation we have today, where insecurity is always becoming a pain in society. Take, for instance, if we agree it should work at the way you are suggesting, and Boko Haram members take advantage of this, and we read in the newspapers where most of them are being shot, and military officers are doing that have been scared with gunshots, and they find themselves in the hospital, and then they are treated. At the end of the day, they get back and know what they are doing. What extent have they got this situation?
Well, the truth of the matter, I see your point in this, but we are no longer talking about creating a new law. We are talking about a law that exists. And that law has taken into cognizance the various views, public hearing, and debates as to the pros and cons of ensuring that somebody who shows up for treatment with a gunshot wound is given attention. But it's also important, I mean, most of us here are religious in one way or another. It is better to save one innocent man, right, than to let him perish because of 9 guilty people. It's very important you realize that. So if you show up as a victim of an armed robbery or a crime at a hospital, and because there's a perception that you could be a terrorist and you bleed and die, the hurt and the loss to this nation is worth more than those 9 people that were treated, even though they were militants or bandits or terrorists. So I think we need to also weigh the pros and cons, and I believe that that was done over the course of 2017 before this law was passed.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. It's a terrible thing. It's a terrible